Ever feel like you're just, scratching the surface of some truly fascinating mysteries?
Hmm.
Today, we're diving deep into one that has captured imaginations for centuries. Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAP.
And this deep dive, it's really specifically for you listening. We're drawing from quite a stack of sources here
Right.
to pull out the most important, the most intriguing nuggets of knowledge about UAP.
Okay.
Our goal really is to get beyond the headlines,
Mm.
to really understand the history, the national security side of things,
You go on.
the science, the cultural impact, but without making your head spin.
Yeah, trying to keep it manageable. And the core of our exploration today comes from the resource UAP Unidentified Aerial Phenomena.
That's the one.
And it's pretty comprehensive, isn't it? It covers a lot of ground, ancient accounts right up to modern tech.
It really does. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to unpack and connect here.
Okay.
Absolutely. So our mission basically is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We want to equip you with a really well-informed perspective on UAP,
Mm.
uncover some surprising facts maybe and key insights that might just, shift how you think about what's going on up there.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
When we talk about UAP, what actually falls under that umbrella? What is it?
Well, at its core, a UAP is just
Hmm.
any aerial object or event that you can't immediately identify.
Okay. Simple enough.
Yeah, it's a deliberately broad definition. It has to be, really. It covers everything from, say, mistaking a plane,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to phenomena that, well, just defy easy explanation.
Right. And I've noticed, and probably you have too, the term UFO seems less common now. Why the shift to UAP?
Yeah, that shift is actually pretty significant, moving from UFO, which got kind of sensationalized.
It loaded, yeah.
Exactly. To the more neutral UAP. It signals a move towards a more serious, objective approach.
Right. Trying to legitimize the study.
Precisely. Encouraging open dialogue, rigorous scientific scrutiny, instead of just immediate dismissal or, jumping to conclusions.
Makes sense. So this isn't exactly a new thing then, right? Our source gets into the history.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
What's really fascinating is that reports of weird stuff in the sky, they're anything but new.
Really?
Yeah, count stretch way back. Ancient civilizations, Sumerians, Egyptians,
Wow.
and then through early explorers' logs. They often describe strange lights, objects. It suggests this whole experience of seeing unexplained things up there has a long, long history.
People have been seeing weird things for ages. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. When did we start getting, the modern understanding? When did it kick off?
The mid-20th century. That was a real turning point, especially after World War II, start of the Cold War.
Ah, okay. Heightened tensions.
Exactly. Military aviation tech advanced rapidly. Global tensions were high. So people started paying much closer attention to anything unusual in the airspace. More scrutiny.
And the Roswell incident, 1947, that feels like the moment it exploded into public consciousness.
Roswell.
Yeah.
With those enduring claims of, recovered alien stuff.
Right, the debris, the bodies, maybe.
Right? Maybe. It absolutely acted as a major catalyst, ignited huge public interest, prompted the first kind of serious government inquiries, even if they were super secretive.
At the stage.
It really did set the stage for the whole modern era of UAP talk.
Okay, and our source mentions things like Project Blue Book. What was the idea behind those early investigations?
So Project Blue Book, that was the U.S. Air Force, it was tasked with systematically looking at UAP sightings.
Okay.
The initial aim was mostly national security, figuring out if these things were a threat.
Makes sense for the time.
Totally. And while it officially concluded most cases were, misidentifications, weather balloons, stuff like that, the fact that there were a significant number of unexplained cases, that actually ended up fueling public belief in, well, more extraordinary origins.
So it kind of backfired in a way, intended to debunk, but...
Inadvertently solidified the mystery.
Exactly.
By leaving key cases hanging, it just kept people fascinated for decades.
So while the government was trying to explain things away, officially, the scientific community was starting to peek in too.
Exactly right. The later part of the 20th century, you saw growing engagement from academics, independent researchers.
What kind of fields?
Oh, all sorts. Physics, psychology, sociology, bringing different perspectives, more critical, multifaceted analysis. It wasn't just military anymore.
And despite all these investigations, official and unofficial, the sightings kept happening, didn't they? Big ones like Phoenix Lights, Tic Tac.
Oh, yeah. Those later sightings were significant. Phoenix Lights in '97, huge numbers of witnesses.
I remember that one.
And the Tic Tac encounter in 2004 with the Navy pilots. Incredibly compelling. These events reignited public interest, put pressure back on governments for transparency, for better investigations.
Because the witnesses were so credible.
That and the nature of what they saw just seemed impossible based on known tech.
Which kind of brings us closer to today, right? This current climate of more disclosure, a feeling that maybe things are actually shifting.
You're right. The recent increase in government disclosure, releasing classified documents, setting up dedicated task forces like the UAP task force.
Yeah.
It really does suggest a significant shift in how these things are being handled at the highest levels. It feels different now.
Okay, we've touched on some history, but let's zoom in on a few really notable ones. Kenneth Arnold, 1947. That's often called the start of the modern era, isn't it?
Yeah, Kenneth Arnold's report.
Yeah.
Those 9 crescent-shaped objects near Mount Rainier. What's so significant is, one, it gave us the term flying saucers, that enduring image.
Right, that's stuck.
And two, it really marked the beginning of widespread public awareness. Kicked off the whole modern narrative.
Then there's one down under Westall, Australia, 1966. A whole school saw something.
The Westall incident, yeah, that's compelling because of the sheer number of credible witnesses. Over 200 students and teachers saw this disc-shaped craft.
Wow, in daylight.
Broad daylight. And the media attention afterwards, the government investigations, it really highlights the societal impact, raises those questions about transparency when something like that happens so openly.
And Rendlesham Forest in the UK in 1980. Britain's Roswell, they call it. Military personnel involved there, too.
It was. Rendlesham involved trained U.S. military personnel.
Yeah.
They encountered this triangular-shaped craft near a military base.
Okay, that definitely sounds like a national security thing.
Exactly. It brought the implications for military operations right into focus, raised serious questions. Was this advanced tech? Was it a threat operating right next door?
And more recently, that Tic Tac incident, 2004, that one seems to have really gotten official attention.
The 2004 Tic Tac incident is pivotal, no question. You had experienced U.S. Navy pilots off the coast near San Diego encountering this object that just moved in ways that defy any known aircraft capabilities. The accelerator that stops.
Things we can't do.
Things we can't do. And the Pentagon's review later, the acknowledgement. That's been huge in legitimizing the study of UAP within government and science circles.
It's interesting seeing how the government response changed over time. At first, it was mostly just downplaying it, dismissal.
Yeah, initially there was a clear pattern. Skepticism, dismissal. Project Blue Book investigated thousands of reports, sure, but the goal often seemed to be finding a conventional explanation.
Right. It was probably just...
Exactly. Misidentifications of known stuff, which didn't really satisfy people when it came to the really weird cases.
But the Cold War must have changed things. Those Washington, D.C. sightings in '52. That sounds serious.
Oh, the 52 D.C. sightings were a massive turning point. Unidentified objects buzzing the nation's capital. That triggered serious military concern.
I bet.
It led to a much greater recognition of the potential national security implications. Couldn't just ignore that.
And now, this recent shift towards more transparency. Releasing Pentagon videos, Congress getting involved.
Exactly. Recent years have seen a noticeable shift. The public release of those Pentagon videos, the ones the New York Times reported on in 2017 showing Navy encounters, that sparked huge, renewed public interest. And it's encouraging more open scientific discussion. Lawmakers are asking questions now.
And our source also highlights citizen science becoming more important, kind of filling gaps or adding to the official picture.
Yes, citizen science initiatives are playing a really vital, growing role. They add to what governments are doing by creating a bigger network for observation, data collection.
More eyes on the sky.
More eyes, sometimes using tech that can actually provide valuable info. It complements the official stuff.
Let's dig into those national security implications more. Military encounters. That must be especially concerning for defense folks.
Indeed. You have reports from military personnel, not just U.S., but across nations, detailing objects doing these advanced maneuvers.
Right.
Exhibiting capabilities way beyond known aircraft. And these aren't just random observers. They're trained professionals using sophisticated equipment that carries weight.
And the 2004 Nimitz incident, the Tic Tac, is maybe the prime example of that concern.
The Nimitz incident is a really compelling case study, yeah. The object shape, the weird tic-tac look, but more importantly, its incredible capabilities. The rapid acceleration, instantaneous direction changes.
The stuff pilots said blew their minds.
Exactly. And the fact the U.S. military acknowledged it, studied it, That underscores the potential defense implications. It was a direct factor in setting up the UAP task force in 2020.
So the main worry is unidentified things flying around sensitive military areas, bases, training zones.
Precisely. The core national security concern is intrusions into sensitive airspace. And the big challenge is figuring out the origin and intent.
Right. Is it adversaries? Is it something natural we don't get? Or
Something else entirely. That's the question. You have to take potential surveillance, potential threat seriously.
And this has understandably pushed the military to do more scientific research themselves.
Yes. There's definitely been a noticeable uptick in scientific research within military and intelligence agencies. They're focused on developing better detection, better analysis capabilities to understand the nature and, the potential threats.
Okay, connecting that to the bigger picture about national defense strategy, what are the wider implications there?
Well, if you look at the broader strategic landscape, the implications are pretty substantial. It means we might need to reassess threat assessments.
How we think about threats.
Exactly. Strengthen airspace security protocols. And there's an urgent need to improve detection and ID capabilities. You can't really defend against something you can't understand or even reliably track.
Sounds like it needs a really coordinated effort, not just one agency.
Absolutely. This demands enhanced interagency collaboration. You need the military, intelligence community, scientific researchers, all talking, sharing information seamlessly.
Like the UAP task force aims to do.
That's the idea behind it, yes. An integrated approach.
Could studying UAP, and this might sound a bit sci-fi, actually lead to tech breakthroughs for our own defense?
It's certainly conceivable. I mean, just the act of trying to understand, maybe even replicate some of the observed characteristics.
Like the propulsion or materials.
Exactly. Propulsion materials, sensors. The unknown often drives innovation. Figuring out how they do it could lead to our own advances.
And it's interesting how public interest, citizen scientists, can actually influence defense strategy here too.
Yeah, the sustained public interest, the work of citizen scientists, it plays a role. It keeps pressure on for government transparency, advocates for a more comprehensive approach.
Keeps it on the agenda.
Keeps it on the agenda. And that can ultimately shape defense strategies, how resources get allocated.
Okay, moving towards the formal scientific research side, it feels like those government disclosures really gave this field a shot in the arm.
Absolutely. The recent disclosures have provided a significant boost, no doubt. We're seeing more engagement from big players like NASA.
Right.
And a surge in activity from independent researchers, academic groups. It's becoming, well, more mainstream is a scientific question.
Yeah.
Less fringe.
And a lot of the focus seems to be using modern tools on old data, looking back at historical sightings.
Yes, a key focus is rigorous collection and analysis of historical sighting data, using advanced statistical methods, computational tools.
Looking for patterns.
Exactly. Identifying patterns, correlations that might have been missed before, bringing modern data science to these old mysteries.
And technology is obviously huge for current detection and data gathering.
Definitely. Integrating cutting-edge tech, enhanced infrared, better radar systems with higher sensitivity, better resolution. That's critical for real-time detection and for gathering much more detailed, reliable data than we could before.
And that national security angle is still kind of woven into the scientific research, isn't it?
You're right. Because of those inherent national security implications, there's this growing recognition. We need more transparency, more collaboration between government agencies and civilian scientists.
To ensure security and scientific progress.
Exactly. It's a balancing act, but necessary.
Our source also stresses looking at the psychological side of UAP experiences. Why is that important for the research?
Investigating the psychological perspectives.
Yeah.
People who report encounters.
Yeah.
That's crucial for a full picture.
How so?
Well, it helps us understand how perception, belief, other psychological factors might influence these experiences. And it can help differentiate between different types of reported events, too. It's part of the human element.
But doing rigorous science here must have some unique challenges, methodologically speaking.
Oh, it does. A primary challenge. Lack of standardized methods across studies. The sheer variety of sightings, the lack of consistent, verifiable data. It makes it hard to set up universal research rules. Hard to compare studies.
And just getting good, reliable data seems like a major hurdle.
Absolutely. Limited access to consistent, verifiable data is a huge impediment. Researchers often rely on anecdotes, incomplete data sets.
Right.
And while government transparency is getting better, comprehensive historical data is still pretty elusive.
And the stigma the sort of giggle factor that used to surround UFOs. That must still make it hard to get the wider scientific community fully on board.
Unfortunately, yes. That historical stigma still contributes to skepticism in the mainstream scientific community. It can hinder collaboration between disciplines, limit funding opportunities. It's getting better, but it's still a factor.
And the psychological factors you mentioned, like fear of ridicule, probably means a lot of sightings just never get reported.
Yes, the fear of social ridicule, professional backlash. It likely leads to significant underreporting, which potentially skews the data we do have, makes it harder to get a truly representative sample of experiences.
And technology. It offers solutions, but it also brings its own problems, right?
Right. While tech advancements offer powerful tools, they also bring challenges. High costs for advanced gear, needing specialized expertise, and important ethical questions, too, around data privacy, surveillance. It's complex.
Let's shift focus a bit to popular culture. It's undeniable how much movies, TV have shaped how people see this whole topic.
Oh, the influence is profound and multifaceted. Media and film have really shaped public perception, often swinging between, pure sensationalism. Right. And more nuanced, thoughtful explorations of the unknown. It runs the gamut.
And you think of classics like Close Encounters or The X-Files.
Yeah.
They left such a lasting mark on the cultural idea of UAP.
Absolutely. Landmark productions like those,
Yeah.
they've deeply permeated our culture, established enduring narratives, visual shorthand for UAP, and their potential implications. I want to believe.
Yeah. And those fictional portrayals, they must influence how we react to real-world talk about national security, government transparency on UAP.
They certainly do. Pop culture narratives shape public expectations about how national security should respond. And they fuel both curiosity and skepticism about government transparency.
It's funny how media can boost interest in the science, maybe even funding, but also make scientists more skeptical if the portrayals are too wild.
That's a key tension. Media attention can drive public interest, maybe support for research. But overly sensationalized or just plain fictional accounts can unfortunately breed skepticism and distrust within the scientific community itself. Makes it harder sometimes.
Documentaries, though, often try for a more factual approach, right? Trying to demystify.
Yes, documentaries can play a really crucial role here, offering a more evidence-based view featuring experts, aiming to demystify by presenting a more grounded, analytical perspective.
So taking it all together, how has pop culture really shaped how the public thinks about UAP today?
The overall impact has been transformative, especially lately, with the recent government disclosures adding fuel. We've seen UAP move from the fringes, crazy UFO people,
Right.
towards being a more mainstream topic, something discussed seriously.
And the increased transparency from government seems to be feeding into a more informed public conversation, less purely speculative.
The increased government transparency is definitely fostering a more informed, more critical public dialogue. People can engage with it knowing there's official acknowledgement, ongoing investigations. It's not just rumors anymore.
It feels like the more UAP shows up in movies, TV, books, the less taboo it becomes to just talk about it openly.
Exactly. The more it's integrated into mainstream culture, the more normalized the discussion becomes. Reduces the stigma, encourages more open conversation.
And people sharing their own stories, anecdotes. But that seems to carry more weight now, too, as the official story shifts.
Yeah, the increasing willingness of individuals to share personal experiences, anecdotal evidence, that's playing a big role in challenging the stigma. And it contributes to a broader understanding of the human side of these encounters.
Let's dive into those psychological perspectives more. What are some common threads in the actual human experience of seeing a UAP?
The experience itself is incredibly diverse. It can range from profound awe, wonder, to intense fear, anxiety. And sometimes these events can trigger really significant shifts in someone's personal beliefs, their whole worldview.
And this kind of experience, it's not just modern, right? It echoes back through history, different cultures.
That's right. Throughout history, reports of unusual aerial stuff have been woven into cultural beliefs, societal anxieties, reflecting humanity's long fascination and sometimes fear of the unknown up there.
And there's that interesting link between these very personal experiences and the bigger issues like national security, transparency.
Yeah, personal accounts often fuel public demand for more government transparency, and they can influence how people perceive the potential national security implications too.
And the scientific research is actively trying to understand to contextualize these very personal, sometimes life-changing experiences.
Scientific research here aims to bring rigor to studying these subjective experiences, trying to find patterns, understand psychological factors, maybe correlate them with objective data from sensors, if possible.
But pop culture also shapes how people interpret their own experiences, doesn't it? Gives them a framework.
Well, significantly. Popular culture influences how people make sense of their own UAP experiences. It provides a framework, whether it's accurate or not, that can shape their memories, their beliefs about what they might have seen. Did they see a weather balloon or did they see the ship from Independence Day?
Right, right. So what are some key psychological theories that help us understand why people perceive and believe in UAP? What's going on in our heads?
Well, psychological theories really emphasize the role of our cognitive processes. Things like pre-existing beliefs, cultural background, past experiences, they all shape how we interpret ambiguous things like weird lights in the sky.
Okay. And our source mentions cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling when beliefs clash. How does that play into UAP belief?
Now, cognitive dissonance can definitely come up if someone sees something that strongly contradicts their worldview or official explanations.
Like, that can't be a plane, it moved too fast.
Exactly. That mental discomfort can sometimes lead them to strengthen their belief in something extraordinary to resolve the dissonance. Dismissing the official weather balloon explanation might make them cling harder to the UAP idea.
And confirmation bias, seeking out stuff that confirms what we already think. That must be huge here.
Absolutely huge. Confirmation bias plays a massive role. People often actively look for info, stories that align with their existing beliefs about UAP,
Uh-huh.
and might ignore or dismiss evidence that contradicts it.
Yeah.
This really shapes how historical accounts get interpreted, too.
It's interesting how social psychology, like group dynamics, plays a part too, like in enthusiast communities.
Yeah, the social psychology of group dynamics is really relevant.
Yeah.
Within UAP communities, shared beliefs get reinforced. Sometimes it creates echo chambers where alternative ideas aren't really welcome.
And the need to belong.
The need for belonging, for validation within the group,
Yeah.
that can be a powerful driver of belief.
And just that basic human fascination with the weird, the extraordinary, the pull of the unknown.
Yes, there's a deep psychological draw to mystery, to the unexplained. It taps into our fundamental human desire to understand our place in the universe, to grapple with big existential questions. Is there more out there?
It really sounds like putting these psychological insights together with the hard science could lead to a much richer, more nuanced understanding overall.
Precisely. Combining psychological theories with rigorous scientific investigation, that offers the potential for a much more comprehensive analysis. And it can even help design better ways to collect data, engage the public.
Let's turn more directly now to government disclosure and transparency. What were some of the key historical efforts before this recent shift?
Historically, government approaches were varied and often very secretive. Late 40s, early 50s, you had projects like Sign and Grudge. They were mainly focused on national security threats. Very little public info came out.
Okay. Then came Project Blue Book in the 60s. That was more public, wasn't it?
Project Blue Book was more public, yeah. They released reports, tried to explain sightings, but a lot of researchers and the public remained pretty skeptical of his conclusions.
Felt like a whitewash.
Felt to some like the really compelling cases weren't adequately addressed. Yeah, like they were trying too hard to find conventional answers.
Then things seemed to go quiet officially for a while before interest picked up again in the 90s, early 2000s.
You're right. The 90s, early 2000s saw renewed public interest, partly fueled by some older documents getting declassified and the growth of citizen-led groups like MUFON and UFORC. They really empowered independent research data collection outside of government channels.
And now we're in what feels like a totally different era. Pentagon releasing videos, the UAP task force.
The current era does feel like a significant shift. The official release of those Navy videos starting in 2017,
Yeah.
congressional hearings, the UAP task force,
Yeah.
it suggests a potential move towards greater official acknowledgement, a more structured approach. It feels less hidden.
So what are some of the biggest recent developments in disclosure? What have these recent reports actually told us?
Recent government reports, like those in 2023, have given more detail on military UAP encounters, importantly including pilot testimony, sensor data.
Okay, more concrete stuff.
Yeah, which helps further legitimize the experiences military folks have been reporting for years. That increased official reporting is a big step.
And this new info seems to be making people look again at older cases, like the Tic Tac incident, with fresh eyes.
Yes, exactly. The increased availability of declassified documents, plus using modern analytical tools. It's leading to renewed examination of historical sightings like the Tic Tac. More in-depth retrospective analysis is possible now.
And it's clear that national security is still a major driver behind the government's current actions, right?
National security remains a primary catalyst, absolutely. It's driving congressional oversight, the DoD allocating resources for UAP identification and analysis, the push for better interagency coordination. That hasn't gone away.
And this increased government focus is also creating new openings for scientific research.
Yeah, the heightened government attention is fostering a more conducive environment for science. More engagement from universities, independent research groups using advanced tech, even integrating citizen science data. It's opening doors.
And like we talked about, all this is echoing in popular culture, shaping the public conversation.
Absolutely. These recent government actions, research developments, they keep fueling public discussion, reflected in ongoing explorations of ET theories, psychological aspects in movies, TV, everywhere.
Let's talk tech. The innovations transforming UAP detection. Radar and sensor tech must be way beyond what they had back in the Project Blue Book days.
Oh, completely revolutionary. We've gone from traditional radar, kind of like shouting in one direction and listening for an echo,
Right.
to sophisticated multi-sensor networks. Advanced phased array radar. Think of it like having multiple ears listening everywhere at once, picking up faint whispers, tracking things with incredible precision in real time.
In cameras too, right? Optical, infrared, getting better images.
Exactly. Today's optical and infrared sensors capture high-res imagery, thermal signatures, even in low light or bad weather. Combine that with advanced image processing, you get a much richer data set to analyze.
And applying AI, machine learning, to all this data, that sounds like a game changer for spotting potential UAP.
It's critical. AI can sift through massive data sets of known objects, natural phenomena.
Graded on what's normal.
Right. Then it can help identify anomalies, patterns in sensor data that might indicate UAP, stuff a human analyst might miss or just couldn't process fast enough.
And even citizen science is benefiting from better tech these days.
Yes, we're seeing a democratization of observation. Citizen science groups getting access to more affordable, sophisticated sensors, user-friendly mobile apps for systematic data collection and reporting.
So ultimately, these tech innovations, they help national security and they help open investigation, kind of a dual role.
Precisely. These advancements bolster national security by improving detection, but they also empower researchers and citizen scientists to gather more comprehensive data. Helps towards a more thorough understanding overall.
Let's focus just on AI's role. It sounds incredibly promising for just dealing with the sheer volume of data.
AI is proving indispensable, yeah. Analyzing the massive data streams from military sensors, civilian reports, dedicated UAP detectors, its ability to spot subtle anomalies, complex patterns is essential.
And AI could potentially help validate some of those old historical sightings, look back with new tools.
Absolutely. By applying AI algorithms to historical data, you could cross-reference it with current sensor info, look for recurring characteristics, patterns, maybe lend more credibility to some persistent old reports.
And for national security, that real-time processing AI offers must be a huge advantage for spotting potential incursions quickly.
AI's ability to process vast streams of sensor data in real time is a crucial advantage, yes. Enables rapid ID of potential threats, allows quicker responses to unidentified activity in sensitive airspace.
And for scientists, AI simulations, modeling, could that help explore theories about how UAP behave or where they come from?
Yes, AI lets researchers create complex simulations, models based on observed UAP characteristics. Helps explore different theoretical explanations for their behavior, potentially pinpoint areas for more investigation.
And AI itself shows up a lot in pop culture stories about UAP, usually tied to advanced tech.
Right. AI's portrayal in pop culture often reflects both the huge potential and the ethical questions around its use. Surveillance, data analysis related to UAP, but it also inspires citizen science by providing powerful analytical tools.
Okay, let's tackle the big one. One of the most compelling parts of this whole discussion. Theories linking UAP to extraterrestrial life. What's the actual scientific basis for thinking that might be a possibility?
Well, the scientific basis for considering ET origins for some UAP draws from a few fields. Astronomy is key.
Finding all those planets.
Exactly. Exoplanet discoveries, potentially habitable zones, then theoretical physics, exploring possibilities of advanced propulsion, interstellar travel.
Stuff we can't do yet.
Right. And astrobiology, looking for life beyond Earth, even microbial life. It all feeds into the possibility.
Just the sheer number of planets out there makes life elsewhere seem More likely, statistically.
Astronomically speaking, yeah. The abundance of stars and planets in our galaxy alone, let alone the universe. It drastically increases the statistical probability of life existing beyond Earth. The odds seem increasingly stacked against us being totally alone.
And theoretical physics opens doors, even if they're just theoretical for now, for how advanced life could travel between stars.
Theoretical physics explores concepts like warp drives, wormholes, advanced propulsion that's way beyond us now, but could potentially offer pathways for interstellar travel. Makes the idea of ET visitors at least theoretically possible.
We talked about psychology before. How do our own psychological biases affect how we think about aliens and UAP?
Our pre-existing psychological frameworks, cultural beliefs, biases, worldview, they significantly influence how we interpret the possibility of ET life and whether we're inclined to see UAP as potential evidence of it.
And the government being more open about UAP seems to be encouraging more scientific curiosity about that potential ET link, too.
Yeah, the increased transparency acknowledging these things are real and unexplained.
Mm.
It is fueling greater scientific curiosity, prompting more serious consideration of even unconventional explanations, including the ET hypothesis. And it empowers citizen scientists looking into that, too.
If, and it's a big if, humanity confirmed ET life exists, what kind of massive cultural impact would that have?
Oh, confirmation of ET life would likely trigger a profound paradigm shift. Really challenge our anthropocentric view that humans are the center of everything.
Right.
Force us to reconsider our place in the cosmos, think about interstellar relations, the very definition of life. Huge implications.
And throughout history, UAP sightings, beliefs about beings from the sky, they've been tangled up with myths and legends, haven't they?
Deeply woven into the fabric of human cultures, yeah. Reflected in myths, legends, religious beliefs, showing this long-standing fascination and attempt to understand sky mysteries.
And if UAP research did lead to understanding ET tech, huge national security questions again.
Absolutely. Encountering or understanding ET tech, profound national security implications, demanding careful thought about defense, international collaboration, ethical use of that knowledge. Big questions.
And pop culture, like we said, is already shaping our hopes and fears about what contact might look like.
Popular culture continues to heavily influence our perceptions, yeah, through diverse, often dramatic portrayals, shaping our hopes, fears, overall understanding of potential contact.
And just personally, psychologically, knowing we're not alone, that would hit hard for individuals, wouldn't it?
On a personal level, confirmation would likely have a profound psychological impact, potentially altering our sense of identity, understanding of existence, place in the cosmos. Speaks to that deep human need to understand the unexplained, our cosmic origins.
Okay, finally, let's talk about citizen science. Why is it so crucial to get the public involved in trying to understand UAP?
Engaging the public through citizen science is absolutely vital. It taps into this huge network of observers, data collectors, significantly expands our ability to monitor, analyze aerial stuff in ways traditional research just can't match.
And those historical sightings we talked about, they can be a great hook to get people interested, involved.
Yes, highlighting historical sightings via documentaries, podcasts, discussions, that's a very effective way to spark curiosity, encourage participation in ongoing citizen science projects.
And being open about the national security side, being transparent, that can build trust and encourage more people to participate responsibly.
By openly addressing national security concerns, fostering transparent dialogue, yeah, you build greater public trust, encourage more informed, responsible participation in citizen science efforts.
And citizen scientists can make real, valuable contributions to the actual science, not just observing.
They really can. Providing crucial data through standardized reporting systems using accessible tech, they contribute significantly to the overall body of info, potentially uncovering patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed.
And tapping into that fascination fueled by pop culture, that inherent curiosity that helps get people motivated to join in.
Exactly. By connecting with the public's existing interest, often fueled by pop culture, and appealing to that fundamental curiosity about the unknown, you can effectively encourage wider participation.
What are some specific examples, successful citizen-led projects making a real difference in UAP research?
Well, successful projects include MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. It's a long-standing global group.
Heard of them?
Relies on volunteer investigators, a standardized reporting system to document and analyze sightings.
And UFORCE, the National UFO Reporting Center. They've been around ages.
UFORCE, yeah, maintained a comprehensive, publicly accessible database since 1974, a valuable resource for researchers and the public. decades of data.
And it seems like smaller, maybe more local tech-based projects are popping up too.
Yes, we're seeing a rise in smaller, localized projects using smartphone tech, social media, even personal sensors to document sightings in real time, raise awareness in their communities, more grassroots efforts.
Our source also mentioned something intriguing, UAP and potential environmental impact studies. What's that about?
Yeah, that area involves analyzing potential correlations between reported UAP activity and various environmental factors,
Like what?
like changes in temperature, geomagnetic field fluctuations, weird atmospheric conditions, looking for connections.
And historically, there have been cases where sightings seem to coincide with natural events, weather, geological stuff.
Yes, there are documented historical cases where sightings occurred alongside unusual weather or geological events. Suggests maybe misidentification sometimes, or potentially a more complex interaction between UAP and the natural environment.
Which also raises potential national security angles again, if UAP interact with or exploit environmental vulnerabilities somehow.
That's a relevant point. If UAP are interacting with or affected by environmental conditions in specific ways, it could have national security implications, exploiting environmental blind spots maybe.
And science looking at this could benefit hugely from tech like satellite imagery, remote sensing.
Absolutely. Advanced tech like satellite imagery, remote sensing data, atmospheric monitoring could provide valuable insights into potential correlations, open up new avenues for investigation.
And it's important to bring these environmental ideas into the main public conversation about UAP, not keep it separate.
Incorporating potential links between UAP and environment into the public dialogue is crucial for a more holistic, comprehensive understanding. It's part of the bigger picture.
How might UAP research, maybe unexpectedly, help ecological research understanding Earth systems better?
Researching UAP and environmental interactions could lead to unforeseen benefits for ecology, highlighting unusual patterns, correlations that might point to previously unknown environmental phenomena or disruptions.
There have even been anecdotal reports linking UAP sightings to weird animal behavior. That's strange.
Yes, there have been anecdotal accounts linking sightings to unusual or unexplained animal behavior. Suggests potential ecological impacts that definitely warrant more scientific scrutiny.
And the detection tech used for UAP imaging, radar, could that be repurposed for tracking migrations, monitoring pollution?
That's an excellent point. The advanced sensor tech developed for UAP detection, high-res imaging, specialized radar, could absolutely be adapted for ecological research. Valuable tools for tracking wildlife, habitat changes, pollution assessment.
And citizen science could expand too, collect ecological data alongside UAP observations.
Expanding citizen science to include ecological data collection with UAP reports that could provide a wealth of information, help identify potential connections between these seemingly separate areas.
And ultimately, more government data sharing could be key to linking specific UAP events with observed ecological stuff.
Enhanced data sharing between government agencies and ecological researchers would be invaluable, for identifying potential correlations, fostering more integrated, comprehensive research. Connect the dots.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive. Just to summarize some key takeaways, we've really seen how understanding UAP has evolved, hasn't it? From fringe stuff to serious science and national security concern.
That's right. We've covered so much ground. The history, the national security angles, the growing science, pop culture's role, the psychology, government transparency shifts, the tech, ET hypotheses, citizen science, even potential environmental links. It's incredibly multifaceted.
So as we keep looking up and these mysteries clearly persist, what might all this increasing transparency, these rapid tech advances, what might they ultimately reveal about our place in the universe, maybe, the interconnectedness of things we just don't grasp yet?
That's a powerful question, isn't it? Really underscores the profound implications here. Makes you wonder about the limits of our current understanding and the potential for really groundbreaking discoveries ahead. What don't we know?
Yeah, if you listening want to continue your own exploration into this captivating subject, we definitely encourage you to look deeper into some of the historical cases we mentioned.
Yeah, plenty to read up on.
Or maybe check out the work being done by those citizen science groups dedicated to UAP research.
Indeed. There's a vast amount of information out there for anyone curious to learn more, maybe even contribute to this ongoing quest to figure out what's happening in our skies.
Until our next deep dive, keep your eyes on the horizon.